Hello and welcome to another episode of Alan Writes. We're still working on Lucky Gold here. Now we've got to move into things. I'm going to let Daniel, as a character, have his day. He's been sent off to find out stuff about Gus. Meanwhile, stuff with Tyler Kraus is going to be looming in the background. Daniel went down to see the security, what do you call it, the security boss for the casino. She, funnily enough, was more than helpful. He hardly had to prattle about working for Miss Flowers. And how the unpleasantness of the recent situation could be greatly amended by knowing all of the steps the casino security personnel had taken during the incident. So, with his hands on a physical copy of the report, as well as a USB drive, as well as a flash drive, of the recordings, event recordings, and so on. He went to review the footage. That much was mandatory before figuring out what kind of private detective he'd need to know how to. They'd need. There were all kinds of those. Some were shutterbugs, some were sleuths, trash diggers, hackers, or police buddies. Others sleuths, trash diggers, the best had a little bit of everything. But figuring out what someone like Gus Ware lived, probably a shack in the desert, was going to be a chore. So, he read the report, which was dry on details, a lot of the call came in at 10:28. We went up. We rushed up the stairs. Went up the stairs and approached the door at 10:31. The assailant was already inside, etc., etc. Alright, etc., etc. Nothing he didn't know or couldn't have surmised. It still didn't make much sense, because it doesn't, because he's especially concerning how Daniel himself was described as the coerced hostage. Drugs were implied. He did remember them taking a blood sample. Was that it? Was that how Gus had done it? A little roofie for over a couple of days? Seemed ludicrous. Alright. But his head was still feeling stretched from all that. Whatever the reason, watching the video was worse. There he was, wandering, keeping to Gus's heels like a trained puppy, doing whatever was asked, and only at the end asking questions and resisting to the slightest. Then, of course, there was no video of what had happened inside Heather's suite. But there was audio. Now, I have to go back and see what I actually wrote. You know, what did I write in those moments? Started with wish you hadn't done that. You can see. And then time stands still. All right. started things off for Gus and went downhill into threats. If not him, then someone else would come. Right. That deserved a marking. Co-conspirator. Or whatever was needed consideration. Then the two security officers barreled in. Sweet. Just out of sight of the camera. The calls to freeze. They called out for Gus to freeze, and he responded, "Time stands still." The words seem to reverberate in Daniel's skull, even now. Like, a terrifying moment stretched across those steely words. He couldn't remember what came afterward. Not until there came a crunch. The same he heard in the audio. Probably the typewriter. Probably the typewriter. Getting adding to its reputation. He thought he heard his own woozy voice. Played it back to make certain. And yeah, that was the same moment he'd woken back up from whatever What was that? He hit the pause button and took a moment for himself. He couldn't remember. Not that he didn't remember, that he couldn't. It felt like he was going under to have his wisdom teeth pulled. A rush into darkness, and then a gummy emergence back into consciousness. That is not how you spell consciousness. Thank you, spell check. Spell check's gotten more intrusive if you haven't noticed. It will just change words. I'm not sure I like that. It's been okay so far. As long as it doesn't cramp my writing style, I'm fine with it. He couldn't remember. Not that he didn't remember, but that he couldn't. So that didn't make any sense. Not unless had applied another dose of drug while he was threatening Heather and somehow gotten the two security officers too. So, what was that? He fumbled around for an explanation, but nothing came. Nothing that didn't feel wild and divergent. It would have to wait. He hit the play button and listened to the rest of the audio. The arrest, more officers arriving, the questioning, Heather's voice clear and somehow calm amid it all. Daniel's own feeble protestations growing louder by the moment. It's clear and somehow calm amid it all. So, no drugs. That didn't make sense. But he halted the viewing. He halted the recording and took a deep breath. He needed a private detective. One who would be able to get whatever the police had discovered so far. Someone who could also sleuth a bit. And how else did I define these? Kind of private detectives. Shutterbugs, sleuths, trash diggers. Maybe a trash digger. Certainly, hacker would be of limited use and not preferable for police systems. Certainly. And the shutterbug plainly that narrowed the field. He pulled out his phone. He disconnected the USB flash drive. Folded up the report. Figured out where the nearest copy center lay. And then made a call to a friend. A well-connected friend in Vegas. Hopefully, friendship would be enough. Alright, so we're going to have new characters. The private detective. The Daniel's friend. In Vegas. Mafia. Other. Dangerous. Complications later. Alright. Then we move to Tyler making his play at the casino. Become a whale. Figure things out. Work his magic. Get some answers. And then go to Heather. Like we said, magic is personal and idiosyncratic. Practitioners generally avoid one another because you can't tell power at a glance. And the skills needed to block are likewise personal and idiosyncratic. Tyler is taking a risk, but he'll take it. Okay. So that's our path, and I got some thinking to do about this. That's all there is to it. Not unusual with first drafts, and since I've gone well outside of my outline, my initial outline, I just something you have to do. And if you want to see things through, you've got to do it. That's all there is to it. You can let it sit for a while, but if you lose the thread of it, you will not be able to come back to it easily. And it's better to get something down on paper, even if you have to dispense with it entirely later. You will still have that other draft that you can draw from. You can pull ideas, you can pull bits and pieces out, and it will still be useful. All right, but I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going somewhere. But stay safe and take care out there. All right. Thanks.